Hello YouTube, the Eye of Stone here. This is a walkthrough of the Haunted Cathedral, the 6th mission of Thief the Dark Project and the 7th mission of Thief Gold. I'm playing on Expert. This is the Thief Gold version of the level, which results in one change, which I will point out. This commentary was added after the fact, so as soon as we get past the title screen right about now, off we go. So for those of you who haven't played, throughout the level there are these control boxes where you give yourself light, which makes it easier and makes it harder. If you keep the lights off, it's easier to hide. If you get them on, you're more likely to miss loot, and you're also likely to take a lethal or embarrassingly damaging fall. Now, there are a lot of garrotograms, little trinkets of loot to floss out. Since this is commentary added after the fact, let me just go ahead and say that I can do a decent job in this level of getting the 2,000 loot we need to make the loot requirement. But in all the years of playing this level, it's the same thing every time. There's about 600 worth of loot in this level that I cannot account for. I don't know where it is. I have some theories, areas I haven't been able to get to where I figure it might be. So for those of you who have played the game, if you want to send me a comment or a video showing me where the 600 loot that I can't find is, I'd really appreciate it. I mean, I'm clever, you know, and quick getting the 2,000 loot we need for the loot requirement, and I can do it pretty quickly, but I am equally at a loss as to where the other 600 loot in this level is. So here we're waiting for the Crayman, and things do go awry with him, which is this is a case in point. This level does turn into a bloodbath with the undead and the local fauna, the Burricks and Craymen. I didn't have my timing right. I wasn't expecting this. If you don't panic, you can get away with things that you really shouldn't. I was on the verge of restarting the walkthrough, but I'll also relate that I've had several restarts with the walkthrough for this level, so I decided to just proceed. You know, I ask myself how worthy the undead or animals are of Garrett's stealth. If you're going to stealth the undead, you have to take it at a much slower pace, because they're as observant as the living, but they move so much more slowly. For a walkthrough that's going to be an hour anyway, it might get a bit tedious. Even though I love playing the game tediously, the zombies are pretty slow. Now this room, you have to floss all the corners thoroughly, because there's actually a lot of loot in this room, more than you might expect in a cave, and if you don't floss carefully, you'll miss one of them. I don't actually keep the levels memorized. That sort of would kill the replay value a bit, so it's kind of like the first run each time for me. I mean, obviously there's some things I inevitably have memorized, but especially here in this level, there are a lot of things to look at and nooks and crannies to get into, and sometimes you get a piece of loot for it, often you don't. Now, don't panic. Sometimes they miss you. I think that the Burricks are actually equipped with a cow's field of vision. Now, he gets stuck here, but I didn't hear about it from this first Burrick. It doesn't seem like he actually saw me, so when I say a cow's field of vision, there may be a blind spot dead in front of them. Or the game malfunctioned. I don't know why I was able to get away with that. But I did, at least at first. This is after the fact commentary. If memory serves, I think things are about to go badly awry. Now, for whatever reason, I get the undead apparently had zeroed in on me already up here, and I end up going to war a lot sooner. See, I wasn't expecting that. Blunder. It's alright. The fact of the matter is, there are too many fire arrows in this level to not use. I hate the ghosts. They are my least favorite thief enemy. I really don't like the ghosts. So we are definitely coming out swinging this time. This is combat. This is not thief. Not gonna waste that use of a holy water. Now, for the moment, I've gone through some fire arrows and I've gone through a lot of water arrows, but I shall not want for them later. We shall not want for protection. It's yet another one. I'm gonna go ahead and finish what I started. Not very stealthy, this last segment. I'm not thrilled about it, but at least I wasn't klutzy about it either. Had one wasted fire arrow. Now, of course, it was no surprise to me up here. The Burrick over here was very upset. He'd heard everything. And, it's relevant to something that happens later in this game. I noticed that in Thief Gold, I have to say, having played Thief the Dark Project for years, now that I'm playing Thief Gold, I notice that the AIs track you for longer, and they seem to be able to do a better job of it. Like this Burrick, he's close. I think he still knows where I am at this point. I think he was hot on my tail, even though I'd put some distance and gotten around some corners. You can see I'm just staying out of sight. this is pretty satisfying right here, because this is one of the times when you actually get to enter the many fortifications that you always see in the city. I mean, there are instances where you get to go into the fortifications, the walls and the siege passageways and all that, but often you don't. Which I guess it makes sense, because in a city like this, those would be heavily guarded and probably not much loot. Now here, you can see there's all sorts of free climbing opportunities. And again, there's no goodie up here. There's no loot. It's kind of a challenge to do, you know. It's not as easy to mount these surfaces as it normally would be. And there's no loot up here. I'm going to try to get over there in a second, and it ends up proving a little too risky. It's kind of hard to keep my footing on this part right here. Kind of hard to keep my footing there, so since there's no loot up there, at least not that I can see, I'm going to take a pass on getting us up onto that ledge. But, you know, there are so many of those crevices that I can floss and not find any loot, so I'm really asking myself. I finished this level with just over 2,000 loot, which meets requirement, but there's a whole 600 loot that I don't have accounted for. I'm wondering where it is. Of course, in Thief 2, you can disarm mines with the brown lockpick. And there are even a few instances in Thief, the Dark Project, Thief Gold, where you can pick them up off the floor. This isn't one of them. There seems to be no way to disarm that mine safely, so you just have to detonate it under controlled circumstances. Now we're going to go into the magic shop. At least I think this is a magic shop, because it has a sun and moon on it, and a really beautiful room. I like this room. I love how it's overgrown and green and dark. One wonders if it was any less overgrown when it was still in use. I just like this room. Again, this is one of those levels I don't play that much. I don't mind it. It's a situation where it's just a collection of vignettes. You know, you have one little piece of loot you're trying to get, and then you have a zombie in the way, and it's a chain of those. What I'm doing here is I'm just showing you the sights. You know, you would think for the sake of a rock in a corner, they would put a little trinket for you. But they don't. At least not always. Hi. Hi there. He isn't worth it to me. Gotta be careful, there's a hole there that will send you down to where the Crayman was. You know, again, there's nothing up there. There's also nothing in here, but it's a handy place to hide if you get the zombies after you. From a story perspective, though, it's really an awesome idea that there's this huge city, but that there's a section of it, or part of a section, that's referred to as the walled section of the old quarter. And there's a part of an entire quarter that's like totally sealed and devoid of any living people that whatever happened here was so bad that they've never redeveloped it. It's an interesting idea. And obviously in the States we have a underreported problem with urban decay. I don't want to get political, but urban now here in there, I'm looking at it on screen because that hole seems actually big enough to jump into, and I've never been able to get the trajectory of that jump right, but I just wonder if it's possible to get in there and if there's loot in there. I've never been able to get into that hole, but again, help me out. Is that one of the places I'm missing? Right in there. I'm not even sure it's possible to get in there. What I'm doing now is I'm noodling around a bit, just making sure I haven't missed any loot, because we're about to change sections here. I missed that arrow. We're about to go across the bridge, rather. It's still the sealed section of the old quarter, but I can't resist. Morbid as it is, there's something satisfying about that sound. No reason to take a jump here. Hard to jump onto this at this angle. Okay. Fine. Now it's obvious that they're just out for trouble tonight. Sometimes you make more of a disturbance and sometimes less. I guess with Thief Gold, you pay for making noise more. I'll be lucky if that doesn't alert the two gracious hosts I'm proceeding to hear. I was worried that maybe they'd heard it. Sometimes the sound carries. This situation really is unbelievable. Every time I do this, your best procedure is to, if you've turned the lights on, your best procedure is to summarily bring these haunts down. But every time I pull this off correctly, it doesn't bring any relief. I just, on a certain level, refuse to believe that I've actually pulled it off. It's an insane idea to be doing anything with two haunts. With two haunts in this proximity. I mean, the analogy I'm making here is this would be like a 48-cylinder engine car in terms of how overpowered a defense it is to have two haunts in a space that's laid out like this with as little cover as there is. any skills are irrelevant here. I've put it in my favor a little bit with the moss. And that was a mistake because I could have hit the door and made noise. See, he almost caught sight of me, and I could have executed that overhead swing, and it would only have phased him, and he might have slashed backwards, and I could have had, I could have taken damage, I could have had a fight on my hand. I view it as luck on this occasion. I just don't see how skill actually has anything to do with surviving something like that. That's one of the strengths of this game. You can get yourselves into situations that are so ridiculous that whatever skill you waltzed into it with, it just gets nullified by the parameters of the circumstances. But this is a nice looking house. I'm trying not to rush through this level. I mean, I don't want to, give hour-and-a-half long videos if that's not necessary to do, but I don't want to run through it keeping the view exclusively on the goals so that you don't get any sense of what these levels look like or how they're laid out, because that's important too. Here is the Serpentile Torque. It is one of the mission objectives. It's also a hefty help towards the loot goal. It looks like an Ouroboros. Alright. Kind of like Little Big World. This area here. It follows the same pattern. It's this sort of sub-story off from the main area. They forced me to use force. That was not an opportunity I was going to pass up. Those undead punks were hanging out there, knowing I'd be coming back. Well, they want to be sophisticated as AIs. I'm going to get sophisticated with how I solve the problem they give me. On another difficulty level in here, there's a key in here, but not on expert. I wasn't going to pass that up. That's too bad for them. Now, you can use this key that we found. That key we found in the cave room, that opens any portcullises that house those light switches. This looks like a tavern or something, and there's another Crayman through here. We're not going to engage him because there's no reason to, but I'll show him for the sake of completeness. I like this part of the level. I like these claustrophobic rooms. Hi there. On another difficulty level, I believe there is a trinket down there, but not on expert. Now, the chief difference I can notice between the Dark Project version of this level and the Thief Gold version of this level is, instead of a spider down beneath this building, we have the creepy fire dude, whom I don't like. Not that I suspect anyone does. He's a good way to replenish your fire arrows, though, because he drops one for you if you get him. The hell with it. Come to water. You don't have much time. Now, I don't know what this is. This ends up happening several times. This phantom ghost voice that follows me around. I don't know if that's distinct to this version of this level or not, or if that's an error, but... Now, of course. Why not? Why would it be otherwise? Stupid bricks. This is World War II. This was absolute devastation and not the way I was intending it to go. Like, could you hear that ghost voice there? I don't know why that happened. It's like, do I have an out-of-phase ghost chasing me? Too many bricks in this level. It's like, you know... All the animals in the zoo tried to stop Garrett. This just turned into epic street warfare. An absolute battle. Playing this out, I really began to see things from a archer's point of view, the archer guards. Maybe now they're satisfied that this walkthrough has turned into an utter bloodbath. Not very stealthy. But it would take a lot of stealth to get past all those barracks, I gotta tell ya. They are annoyingly perceptive. I mean like a lot of stealth. Like, you figure 10 or 15 minutes at least added to your runtime. And, you know, for you to just make a silly mistake anyway. There's some fire arrows up here. Again, because you need to use a fire arrow to complete this level. There's plenty of, and you only need one arrow to do it. So there's plenty of munitions to be had. You have to ask yourself, did the game designers really intend this to be ghosted? Sorry, I had to create a separate audio file here. I'm gonna floss some loot out of there. I love that sound. Since the arrows are perfectly recoverable, I here waste some time trying to hit him at that speed, but little trinkets. Now, it didn't play out this way, but oftentimes I end up using this as a trench or a pillbox to fight the Burricks from, because they can't get to you in here. This is kind of like a trench or a lair to fight from, but it's inaccurate. It's hard to get a good shot. You have to jump up and then jump down, and that's even goofier. It's even goofier and less efficient than what transpired today. I'm trying to find the stairs. Now, it is a purely Tomb Raider-esque move that the game obliges you to make here, and I make it across this time, but just barely, and there's another fire arrow right there. Barely made it. Quite a move they ask you to make. I mean, or rather, that they ask you to make without saving. That didn't kill him, but I'm sure it injured him. Now, admittedly, this time I did not check the second story here. I didn't check it because I'm 90% sure there's nothing in there, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's a trinket that I should have gone and got and didn't. So this is the Watchman's grave. Or rather, this is the Watchman's grave, and we're leaving some coins for him. It is a mission objective. Well, it's fine and well he got some coin, but what about me? There's no loot in here. At least none that I can see. I'm looking for it and not finding it. I probably should have gone up that diagonal and checked the second story, though. I just don't seem to recall there being any loot there. And here I was getting some more coffee. So I'll just tell you about what happens when I get back from getting coffee, that here's the only point in the level where I take any damage. You kind of also have to jump down from this ledge, and it is a damaging jump unless you can hit the light post at a certain way and break some of your momentum, slow your fall down. And I don't hit the light post at the right point, so I end up going through it. And I take like 2 or 3 points of damage. Aggravating. But that's what happens. There we go. I'm back. So I'm angling for it. I know what I need to be doing. I'm trying to be careful about it. But I went too far forward. You're trying to hit the post that the light is on, not the light itself. You'll go straight through the light. It's our friend. I don't know what that ghost is. It's gotta be an error. And that Burrick, I don't know if you could hear, that Burrick seems to have died twice. I heard 2 death cries. Either a bug or the level loaded funny. There is, of course, something up here. A goodie for Garrett. And here's the Keeper's Grotto, but we're not supposed to know that we need to be here yet. Now this is sort of the last, well, not the last. And over here is, again, neat view, no loot involved. You know, you can do your free climbing, urban sports or whatever it's called, but this gets hazardous. The distances are dangerous. This here, and then another little gem right up ahead are the last outright obvious pieces of loot in this level. I've already missed one, and I'm going to have to go back for it. Here's the gem. And there's one outright obvious piece I've already missed, and I'm going to go back for it in a minute because I want to get my loot requirement taken care of before I go to the cathedral. There's nothing back there. So here I'm deciding just to get my loot out of the way. Oh, no, I have it wrong. I engaged the ghost first. That wasn't so well done. I'm looking if I have any flash bombs, but I don't. Well, I might as well be a fire elemental. He got himself into a confined space, and I believe the damage that fire arrows do is sophisticated enough that a smaller area means more damage, I think. It's so dramatic. I just here decided to take care of the loot requirement because I don't have the required 2,000 yet, and it was an obvious bit of loot that I'd just forgotten. But after this, I don't find any more loot. Ha ha. Very productive. So I'm noodling around at this point. I know it's nearby. I know I'm close. I just have to zero in on it. I know I'm in the right area. Takes a second longer than it should, but I do find it. I'm wondering if it's down there, but I know it's not. Although there may be something down there that I've missed. There we go. So that's the requirement. So now when I take care of the other objectives relating to the cathedral and the keepers, the level will end instantaneously. Once I get all that taken care of. So now we're gonna go attend the revitalized faith program. The iconic facade itself. Elemental wards. The warning. There's sword hilts. Sometimes the face is pointing straight down and it comes zapping up at you if you do that. More fire arrows. This level Rambos you out, whether or not you want it.
Comes a man to rescue me. Poor man. The keepers have sealed the door, and only they know how to open them. Cross you the bridge to the grotto of the keeper's citadel. Stand you on the pedestal and illuminate the statue with fire. Then you'll discover the secret of the talisman.
While we're doing the walkthrough, I should have taken a point of damage there, but I didn't. I certainly have in the past. While we're doing the walkthrough, you can probably see me keeping an eye out in every corner, leaving no stone unturned, trying to find some more loot. Because I know what my situation with the loot in this level is, and it's not adequate. I just don't know where this other 600 in loot is. There's none here, but I'm just showing you the other side of the cathedral again for the sake of completeness. Of course, experienced players know it, but lesser experienced players, pardon me, may not. That ghost sound is actually a recording of Victoria played backwards from the cutscene where she takes your eye. In the first two games, as part of the levels, in terms of their presence in games, in terms of their presence in game, the keepers don't appear that much. This is a...
Looks like this place was built by my old pals, the keepers. I wonder what they're hiding in here.
This is one of those rare instances where you actually are in something built by the keepers. Now this up here, always, I just wonder, it's interesting to me, why did they design it this way? There is enough space up here for you to be in there, and if you can click around without pulling your rope arrow down at a lethal fall, is there like a piece of loot up here that you need to reach up and around, again, without pulling your rope arrow out of the wood? Is there something up there? Because that sure does look like an area where you could be. I mean, it's not that there seems to be much way you could get in there, but it's just one of those interesting things. Why did they design it with that much space? And I remember this took more figuring out than it should have the first time I tried to do it. Slow figuring that one out. Watch the pressure plates just go straight through. You can defeat this trap by you have to set your jump up so that the hyperbola, you need to be past the peak of your height with your jump. You want to be at the highest point of your jump when you're directly above the pressure plate so that you can synchronize your descent at the top of this door so that you don't bump into the door and go straight down onto the pressure plate, but that you go through the door. I'll demonstrate. I mean, you can get out of there if you trigger the trap pretty easily, but now I hit upon a slightly better way of integrating the mission critical readings into the walkthrough this time. I have, had the chance to think about it and come up with something a little better in terms of meshing the mission critical readings with the walkthrough itself. So there's 4 things you want to look at, and then the mission is going to be over. So here's the first reading. You can pause if you need more time. Here's the second reading. I guess it infers that the keepers have a larger international presence beyond the city. I always thought this map was cool. Here's the final reading. Again, you can pause if you need more time. It's interesting that the level actually cancels the requirement that you get yourself out of the ruins. I don't see why they should have done that, but they do. So, we're done. I don't know why they let you off a walk back out of the ruins, but... And here comes the stats. Where is this 600 in loot I'm missing? There's almost 600 in loot. If you know, let me know. More to follow soon.